Now on this video, I'm going to try to show some of the small details on my O-gauge layout. These are things you might be able to use as ideas or inspiration to put additional detailing onto your layout. I remember when Roger Karp was at the house and shooting pictures of this layout for the magazine Classic Toy Trains, he commented on how many little details there are on the layout. And since he's been here, we've updated an awful lot of the layout. One of the things I spent an awful lot of time when I built the layout was airbrushing all of the rails, all of the track work. I wanted to be as, well, a little more realistic than just stock track out of the box, even the switches. I always like to have little details like the birds on top of a telephone pole, little details. I molded all these rowboats. I wanted to have them in various places, even this one that's sinking. The guy is fishing in the river, the boat is sinking. Try to create little scenes. It's all little detailing though, and when you add it all up, to me it just makes the layout that much more interesting. I used parts of other accessories. This is the big K&W building that disguises the chimney that runs right through the middle of the layout. And I was able to kind of make it look like it was a big warehouse or factory with a lot of little details in front. I went to extreme detail in every what I thought was a little scene to put plenty of little details. People, I think, make the scene, and no matter what, there's about, I'm not even going to make a guess how many people are on a little model airplane flying field, and everywhere on the layout, and most of the people are hand painted. Some of them are commercial, some of them I got where they give you 100 at a time, but you have to paint them. There's some of everything on the layout, and no two are exactly the same. Inside the passenger train, and I was really fanatical about this, I wanted to have every part of the passenger train as detailed as I could make it. And there are a lot of people, as it goes by slowly, you can really get a view of, especially in the observation car. And I was real careful again to make sure you're not just putting the same person over and over and over. They're all different. Almost all of them are hand painted, and when you look at it up close and personal, especially when you run the trains at night, I love looking at as the train goes by at night. In a night scene, you can pretty much see the people, and I think it just adds a very small detail, but one that makes the layout just a little nicer. The crossing signals were a scale item that I liked. I liked just like the way they looked on the layout. All of the signals and the controls for the signals come from various manufacturers. All of the road bed and the details. Now this is one a lot of people miss. The little water along the edge of the road bed, where little drainage areas. If you go look at a real railroad, and I used up the extra epoxy from making a lake to make that realistic. The coal mine, not all the coal is exactly the same. Some is rough, like it would be coke. Some is smaller, grittier. I wanted it to be like a real coal yard. And people really make the layout special, and there are hundreds on this layout. And again, every car has people in it. Every car. The signals, again, I wanted a nice eclectic variety of signals, and they all work from the sensor inside the track. Extra ties when you're using, and this whole layout is Gargrave's track, all of the ties when you get done bending and making a road bed, I wanted them to be realistic. Now, as the trains in this area of the country, all along the edge of the road, the right-of-way, there's usually stacks of used ties, and I wanted to incorporate that into the layout. Now, even little scenes like this, I wanted to have, there's a Dalmatian there. None of the people are replicas of other people on the layout. This was like a crew that you could purchase at one time. The model plane flying field, Carlos Serra made the moving part from a VCR motor. I hand carved virtually all of the planes. I think one or two of them somebody donated, but I don't remember who. It was a long time ago, and this really is one of the focal points of the layout. The Carabella Boatyard made from balsa wood. A lot of cars. Every time I went to a train show, I wound up coming home with a bunch of cars. And the boats, molded from one master boat. I made a rubber mold, and with using epoxy made, I don't know, there's probably 40 or 50 of them on the layout. I took each one of the buildings and with an airbrush detailed it out. Added people, added details, the guy sleeping in the front of the building, and even the viewing part of the model airplane field, there's just a lot of people there, and the rock work all done from castings from rubber molds, as well as the tunnel portals and all of the parts of the tunnel inside that are lined. The whole idea is that as many of the buildings as possible are unique, and their settings are unique, and they're detailed with people, with vehicles, with trucks, with landscaping. They're not just put down in place like putting a cup of coffee on a table. I've worked on these scenes endlessly to try to make them more realistic. There's garbage trucks in the back. A lot of the trucks, a lot of the vehicles are airbrushed to show that they're just not a plastic replica. That building has a lot of little barrels and details, and it's each scene. I tried to make each scene that you would see like that scene, like it was a picture, and add as many details as I could. As many of the trees, most of the trees are commercial. The lake in the back has a boat on it. Some of the boats that I used, there's a boat on the roof of the car. And I wanted to use one of them as sinking. I wanted to make each one just a little bit unique. That's a Lionel accessory I had, and I wanted to make it a little more realistic. I airbrushed it in flat colors. The side of the chimney that was the big warehouse building, I just used up all the things I had from train layouts years ago, extra Gargraves ties, buildings. I made little accessories. The Joe K little shop is a commercial building that I built. Tried to keep the coal just like a real coal mine, a coal place would be. And the rock work, endless amounts of rock work and staining them, and this whole layout, when I look back at it, is a 25 years of a labor of love. The fence, handmade. I made it with screening and with wire. The light posts are tubing, 1/8-inch aluminum tubing that you can buy in a hobby shop. The hedges around some of the property, the little benches, and again, every little part of it, all small little details. One of the nice things about O-scale is you can put a lot of these details in, and I use everything that I've ever had left over from kit bashing and from building other layouts and my grandson's trains. We don't throw anything away. There's a place for it on the scene. Now, the big passenger station in the back has its own trolley service, of course, and a main line for the seaboard. A lot of cars. And the one thing that's missing out of this is I couldn't figure out how to make those posts. And I saw in a magazine somebody was using them from a wedding cake. The parts that they use in a wedding cake to make the pillars. I thought that was a great idea. And all around, there's every place you look, there's people, the extra ties. For some reason, I always like to pose one of the figures sitting on a stack of ties. I love the little addition of birds. There's a bunch of birds on the layout if you look close for them. And I like detailing. The roof of this building has got different things, patches on it. I think these people are playing checkers or gambling or whatever they're doing. And the little scene around the lake. Now, because I enjoyed fishing when I was younger, I don't fish anymore. But I see people standing around a lake, and two of the lakes have people fishing. They all have some of the boats that I molded. The main road that goes right through the middle of the layout has all of the little cars I picked up. The water, I didn't want to use a sheet of glass. I made it epoxy and try to make it rough around the edges like real water would be. Where it comes up to the shore, it gets slimy and everything. And some little rocks sticking up from place to place. And always people. People make the scene. They make the whole layout. Every time I add people to the layout, I think, well, it's just a little nicer, just a little more interesting, and nicer for the viewers. Now, all of the commercial landscaping stuff really worked out well. The trees, the grass, the hedges, and the plaster rocks. Every part of this, this was pretty easy to do, and certainly a lot of fun. The buildings and putting the around the buildings, the details around them, and the fencing and the weeds. And the weeds on this layout are made from old paint brushes, and you just drill a hole in the plywood and put a few of them in there, put a couple of drops of white glue in, and you're all set to go. And having them all around the edge of where the tracks are, the ties, the used ties. I really wanted to have the actual right of way and the switch machines. I wanted it all to look as realistic as possible, and the airbrush makes that very easy to do. Now, making the buildings look not brand new, and having an airbrush and having some brown and some black paint, flat color paint, it takes a very little time to make it look more realistic than it would be if you just took it out of the box and put it on the layout. Some of the old accessories I had from my old Lionel days, I try to use them in the background where you wouldn't notice right away that they were Lionel accessories. And the trolley, Karen got me this for, well, one of my Christmases many, many years ago. We used to use it on other layouts. Now it's just a stationary part of this layout. And all of the little things that I have left over, and the boat on the roof of the car, I thought that was one of the neatest little details, and all the little people around it. Now, running the trains at night, I always think it's a great memory for me too. We used to run all our Lionel with all the light bulbs in all the houses and everything. We used to run them at night a lot. Running them in the dark, I just think, and especially these trains with the passenger cars, they reflect off the lake as they go by. It's beautiful, the effect they get. You get like a subtle lighting effect that reflects off the other rails and off the lake as they go by the lake on the other side of the layout. A nice little feature of the layout. Out of tunnel portals, I bought one and one of the side walls and molded my own from plaster and detailed them with all the little ivy growing up, the little weeds growing out of them, the smoke stains, and getting them the right color. Just another little detail for the layout. thank you for sharing some time running the trains on my O-gauge railroad. I hope you got some ideas for a couple little details you can add to your layout. But remember, even if you like to run your trains on a bare sheet of plywood, or whether you want super detailing, we can always be friends. And guys, thanks so much for watching.